Well, hello, Trauma Rock Stars. I have a really special guest today. This is Jamie Hughes. He's a social psychologist, he's an author and a speaker. He's also a coach, and he brings a ton of experience to his psychology as well as his personal history. So, Jamie, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you.
And why don't we just start? Let's just go back to the beginning. Start from wherever, as far back as you're comfortable sharing with everybody.
Sure. My professional experience definitely began with personal experience, having gone through childhood trauma and abuse, depression. And so I grew into the field organically, I guess, as we say. The earliest trauma that I had was sitting one Saturday morning watching cartoons when I was 8 years old. And as I did pretty much every Saturday morning at that time.
Yeah.
And my grandmother walked into the bedroom where I was at watching TV, and sat down beside me and said, "She's not coming back." And the reason she
About your
said that,
mom.
yes, my mom had been in the hospital for a little over a week, and because she'd been having some problems. And so she passed away when I was 8 years old due to a somewhat rare liver disorder. And that was my world at the time. That was my comfort, compassion, security, all of that. And so
Were
that
you
was where it started.
were you living with your grandmother at the time, or were you just staying with her because your mom was in the hospital?
She had actually come to our house to stay while my
Okay.
mom was in the hospital. Yes. So my mom and I lived in Charleston, South Carolina, and my grandparents lived in the upstate of South Carolina. So about 3.5, 4 hours away.
Okay. And was it a child?
Yes, I was the only
Okay.
child. And up until that point, I didn't even know that I had a father.
I
Never
was just gonna
seen him,
say,
had
what?
never heard a name, never saw a picture, nothing.
Okay. Okay, so that years old, I mean that because
Hmm.
sometimes this children and they're so young that they don't remember a lot, but at 8, definitely you
Hmm.
do. So that must have been like brutal for you to handle. Is so you must have been so confused and just completely lost.
Hmm. Yeah, when she news that she was coming back, I kind of froze emotionally.
Mhm.
It was I was stuck, and the rest of the world just kind of kept going on me. I didn't even have
Mm.
an emotional reaction at the time. It was just a state of shock.
Did you, at what point, so did you just live with your grandmother that from that point moving forward?
I I wished.
Mm,
So my grandparents actually petitioned to get custody of me so I could live with
okay.
them. But when they went to the family court, there was a judge that got the case, and he just decided in all of his grand wisdom that since the boy's father was still alive, then he should go live with him. That would that would right and appropriate. So I was made to go live with someone I'd never even seen, met, or heard of.
Did your father know you existed?
Oh yeah, he knew
Okay.
my parents were married and divorced when I was probably about a year old.
Okay. But he contact with him?
No, had never seen him, never heard from him or
Okay.
anything.
So when the court ordered this, um, is he a guy? Did he want like you as an 8-year-old? Because that had
No,
to have been really muddy waters.
yeah, no, he did to raise me. He didn't want me. He'd already remarried, had another son. Um, so I had with a stepmother and half brother.
Hmm.
But the part of the trauma that from that point was constantly being told and shown that I was an intrusion, that I was not wanted.
Mm.
by him. It's a big piece of the emotional and psychological abuse was just constantly being reminded that I didn't belong, wanted
Mhm.
there, and just was unworthy of being a part of that life and that family.
Were you living far from your grandparents at this point?
Yeah, it was where I ended up living with my dad and that side of the family. Well, we were about an hour's drive from my grandparents, so I did get to see them
Okay.
occasionally.
Okay.
Not as I wanted, of course, at that age, and with what had gone on, um, my see a lot more, but it was very limited for my dad.
Were they aware of how they were making you feel living in that house
Yeah, I
and
told
they
them
couldn't do anything?
not really, other than just say something. I found out, many the relationship between my dad and my maternal grandfather was very strained.
Mm.
And so it all kind of, the reason for the divorce
Yeah.
in the first place. And
Mhm.
so, like, for example, um, if we're dinner eating and green peas were served, I didn't like them and
Mhm.
I wouldn't eat, they would make me sick.
Mhm.
And so my dad would quip that, oh, you're just stubborn like your grandfather.
Mm.
He was always some sort of comparing me to my grandfather.
Yeah. That's so tough for kids. So how did you like you're probably, you're from being in your teenage years and that like how did that all shake out? Was it just tough? Did you just have to get through it basically?
Yeah, it was really tough. I tried to run away a few times. Um, got in got in school a couple of times.
Mhm.
Although, I was very well in school, was very intelligent, enjoyed learning.
Mhm.
Had a couple of friends at school that I was very close with, so that helped a lot.
Yeah.
But growing up, it was being in fear of where I was at and being hopeless that there was nothing else that was going to come of it, all the
Yeah.
way up through high school.
Do you at what you ever able to grieve the loss of your mother? Because you just said you went numb.
Yeah, I never her loss. It
Mm.
was discouraged. There was one time, and this was right after I moved in with the new family. So I got, after her death, I was thrust into a new
Yeah.
home, a new town, a new family, a new school, you name it.
Mhm.
And I remember one evening that I began to miss her and I started to cry, and my stepmother wanted to comfort me, wanted to give me a hug, and my dad chastised her for that. Said, no, he's got to learn to be a man. He can't go around crying about this,
At
all the
8.
time. Yeah, well, I had turned 9 by this point.
Oh, well, okay.
Right.
So you're 9 now.
I
Okay.
know,
Time
right?
to be a man.
That's right. That's that time. Time to
Oh my
time to
gosh.
9 years old. But
Yeah.
so I just
Yeah.
and it told I developed clinical to grew up with, even, no psychiatric care of any kind
Yeah.
until I was 18.
And did
And
you do it on your own?
I was forced. So when I
Okay.
was 18, I had a suicide attempt.
Okay.
And that was the very first time I had any.
Sorry. Hi. Get down.
That's your
He makes
co-host.
he makes appearances a lot on 18 you attempted suicide.
Yes, so at 18, I had a suicide attempt, and that was the very
Okay.
first time I had spoken to anyone, therapist, doctor, or that, about
Mhm.
the depression. And,
Okay.
they talking to me that, um, hey, this isn't just some random act, or
Yeah.
you're not all the time. This
Mhm.
is a.
Mhm. What that, you know, to
Mhm.
get your hands around that.
Hmm.
And it's, you're probably struggle. Like, we never get trauma
Yeah.
like fully,
Mhm.
You decide you wanted to start like doing this for a living and become a psychologist.
Mm. That's interesting. Few years, like you said, even right after this was still just lost and no direction. I still didn't have any support. I was things like, you're just attention seeking and you're just the black sheep of the family, that kind of thing. And so, it was probably in my like early to mid before I intentionally sought
Hmm.
healing and started going to therapy. And that was actually when I started school. It was when I was about 24. I started college and started studying psychology. And as one of my early professors used to say, most everyone in the psychology field goes into it to figure themselves out. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that was very my case at that time. So that was beginnings
Hmm.
of kind of starting to see bigger picture, starting to see that there was more than just the grief and the depression.
Hmm.
And the more I learned, that I hooked, it became my passion to about it. And near the end of my bachelor's degree, I, of course, classes you have the discussions of, well, what are you gonna, what are you to do with this, and what kind of you want, and this and that. I was like, wow, I would really do therapy with teenage boys that are in the system, you know, foster care kind of thing, because I could help them. Because that's kind of what I felt like,
Can
my
relate.
experience. So my senior semester, last semester, I did an internship with a local boys' home,
Oh,
and that turned out to be great because I would go home and cry every night. It was, it was and it was just emotionally too much. So
I was
after,
going to say, was it because of what they were going through? Like, was this the first time you were able to actually cry and have that kind of a release? That just a lot on you emotionally with what you had already been going through.
yeah, no, it definitely wasn't the first, time I'd had cry. I'd been to
Yeah.
therapy and
Yeah.
stuff, but I was not, I was enough, first of all,
Mm,
to be in a position like that.
mm,
And secondly, I'm just very empathetic anyway. So
mhm.
I was their emotions. I had of how much to take or what to do with it. So but I learned very, though, this is not the role for me. This is,
Okay, so it was a good lesson.
yes, it turned into a
Yeah.
very good lesson, which after I graduated, it kind of led me into the nonprofit field, but in the
Mm,
areas of program development, management, recruiting, fundraising, public speaking,
mhm,
things like that, even teaching classes.
mhm.
So that turned out to be the perfect fit because I could go into it with the knowledge and personal experience on the psychology end, but yet not sitting across from someone hour after hour after hour. I could
I
help.
want to talk to you about that too a little bit further down because I want to
Okay.
get perspective on that. I'm glad you're bringing it up because I have it in my
Mhm.
notes, but I just
Okay.
want to remind you in case I forget because
Okay.
we have a
Yeah.
lot to
Yeah. We'll
cover.
come back. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how I ended up, you know, getting into some profession.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I would help people. I
Yeah.
knew it was my passion. I just had to find the right way to do it.
And that made sense that for you.
Hmm.
I wanted to quick view. So how old were you when you got your master's?
I just finished master's a year and a half ago.
Okay, so when you were 26, that was when you got your bachelor's.
Yeah, 24, 28. Yeah, somewhere 28 was when I got my
Okay.
bachelor's. So then I worked in the nonprofit field for many, many years and had the kind of the goal to go back and get my master's.
Yeah.
But my kids were young,
Hmm. Life.
life was going on, so it was before I actually went back.
Yeah. between 18 and 24, after you had the suicide attempt and
Mhm,
you finally started to get therapy and the help you needed, they knew you were depressed.
mhm.
Where were you living? Did you
Well,
have to go back to your
well,
father's because you were
no,
18?
no, actually, one of the things that precipitated the suicide attempt was I was about to graduate high school,
Okay.
and my father told me that since I was about to turn 18, I could either rent or get out, and that it wasn't a I'm going to find a place and that kind of.
Yeah.
It was here if you're sleeping in
Hmm.
the you're going to
Hmm.
get out. After the attempt came back, and within a month or so, I just started kind of reaching out and saying, "Hey, I got to have a place to live, and you
Hmm.
know, I got a job, and I was able to rent an apartment." So I lived on my own for a couple of years, and then eventually, and kind of, life, and just was just a walking shadow. I
Hmm.
mean, I didn't have any direction, nothing. So I ended up losing my job, losing my apartment, but eventually reached back out to my grandparents.
I was going to ask, so where were your
Yes.
grandparents in all
So
this?
they during that year and a half or so, they had no idea where I was at or what I was doing.
Okay.
Nobody
You
did,
just
because I
shut the
just,
world out.
yeah, I was walking dead. And but I reached out to them, said, "Hey, I'm losing. I don't have a place to live." So they invited me to come live with them. Got there, kind of got stable.
Hmm.
That's when I actually started the therapy and started working the plants to start college. So
Yes.
that's kind of how I sort of
Yeah.
began the up part.
Do you did you get into drinking and drugs?
Oh yeah, I drank almost a day, smoked
Yeah.
weed almost a day.
Hmm.
Um, it, you know, this is a good thing. So anyone listening, please don't take this as a positive, but my alcohol tolerance was so bad that I could just drink, and drink, get anything from it. It's
Hmm.
just how much I was just
Your
living,
tolerance was just so
yeah,
high.
I was just, I had
Yeah.
in life,
So
nothing.
when you went back in with your grandparents, did that kind of all stop at point once you felt more stable?
Yeah, yeah, for the most, I
Yeah.
definitely, quit, I
Hmm.
quit drinking. I would go
Hmm.
out occasionally, with friends and,
Hmm.
have a couple drinks. So it kind of, say normalized, but as far as social behavior, it normalized. Um, but yeah, all of just stopped. I
Hmm.
started exercising, started eating. I I'm just now have memories that are coming back as we're talking about this. I was not. I literally, when I lived by myself in the apartment, at the age of 19 and up to 20, I would eat, macaroni and canned soup and stuff like that. When I moved in, my grandma,
Yeah, I'm
I
sure.
actually, I actually eat real food at that
Yeah.
stage. So I put on, like, I think I went into a growth spurt. I grew like a couple of taller. I put
Hmm.
on like 20 pounds. I mean, it was,
And you seem like you're much happier.
oh yeah, I was much. I even one time going to a bank, local bank. I don't know if I was depositing a check or whatever, but I ran into someone that I went to high school with,
Hmm.
and she was a teller at the bank. And I walked up and I didn't recognize her at first. And she goes, "Jamie?" And I was like, and I looked up, and then I recognized her. I was like, "Oh, hey." And she goes, "Oh my God, you look totally different." And so this had been, so 2.5, 3 years maybe at that point, maybe
Okay.
3 years since high school.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she was like, "You look amazing. You look totally different." I was like, "Oh, okay, thanks."
Yeah. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you feel that, I guess, how did this affect your relationships?
Which relationships, and
Any friendships, how did
in terms of the depression, or come starting to get treatment?
both? Like, I
So,
guess once you started to get treatment and
mhm.
started feeling stability with your grandparents and you were
Hmm.
going to college and all that, did
Oh
you
yeah.
feel like, that trauma, like, how do you, I find that for me personally, but a lot of people I talk to, like, trauma really affects relationships,
Hmm.
big
Yep.
time. That was like a big thing me and the choices we make and
Yeah.
stuff. Like, do you feel like that? Did it help you? Did it hurt? Or did it take you time to figure it out? Because I'm just
Yeah.
now starting to figure it out.
Yeah.
you
I would.
know?
I would took a long time to figure it out. I
Yeah.
did. I didn't know. The what's the don't know will hurt you. Um, I didn't know. So
Mhm.
even though at that time when I started college and had started therapy and was living much healthier, um, there it you definitely had good relationships,
Mhm.
friendships, romantic relationship with my grandparents.
Yeah.
I I didn't as much as I did later, looking
Yeah.
back, the impact that it had, even in even if, just like with relationships, I years and years later and
Mhm.
studying psychology and
Yeah.
actually working in the field that I was able to kind of notice things like, oh, that's from the trauma.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
oh, wait, what is anxious? What is avoidant attack? What is that? Describe that's my relationships. So yeah, I definitely had
Mhm.
some impacts,
Yeah.
and that was really what it was from.
Until you started to really like peel the
Yeah.
onion and your
Yep.
education.
Yep. Exactly.
Now that you're a psychologist,
Hmm.
what is your with your clients?
So I specialize in trauma recovery
Yep.
coaching, and my approach, first of all, is to determine where they're at, because
Mhm.
that's what I that my on where we're at today and where we're going in the future.
Mhm.
Um, so I will just take the time to get to know a person, their story, what they've been through, what acknowledgement or help that they've already received,
Mhm.
and find out areas of their life are being impacted by the trauma that they've experienced.
Obviously, the is developing trust.
Hmm.
And I think your personal story, just makes you much better of a psychologist. But like you said, your
Mm.
professors told you that most psychologists do it because of their own journeys, which
Uh-huh.
I don't know if a lot of people realize that because I never really thought, I mean, I feel like we've all been through trauma, but I never really thought that that's necessarily, put the two together for that,
Uh-huh.
which I don't, a lot of people probably have.
Yeah, I think if you go to see a therapist, you're what you
Hmm.
obviously, so you help something, so you don't tend to necessarily think about, well,
Hmm.
why is it here? Why are they in this profession? But if you look at most social workers, most therapists, psychologists, um, they're they probably are into that field because they know what it feels like.
Yeah.
Whether it was mental illness,
Hmm.
maybe even they probably have
Mhm.
that, and that's the reason that they're there.
Back in the day, I was in a horrific auto accident when I was
Mm,
12.
mm.
And now this was back in the 80s. So a lot's changed. Like nobody was talking about mental health back
Oh,
then.
oh no.
It was taboo.
Yep.
Like, if it, I went to many different psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, like all kinds of people. Nobody really knew how to help me.
Mm,
It was weird, and I don't know
mm.
if it's because it's evolved so much since then,
Uh-huh.
that people are there's so many resources that are readily available. Like back then you had to dig, 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 dig. And for me, I didn't have with that. And as you, I suppressed everything. I'm like, well, nobody can help me, so I'm just going to suppress everything and act like a crazy teenager and in my 20s and just be in denial about everything, I guess. And do you get a lot of people like that are frustrated?
Oh yeah. And I think it comes from a couple of different places. One, especially if trauma was, then you're right. The way we have mental health care was completely different.
Mhm.
If you're looking historically, um, in the 60s and 70s and even into the 80s, we still used state-run asylums where
Mhm.
mental health was considered you're crazy
Yeah.
and you need to be locked up. There, we weren't at, you know, mental health treatment was not the norm, and it was not even socially acceptable.
Mhm.
So we know now, even like PTSD. So
Yeah.
you come out of the 60s and the very early 70s, we were really just then to recognize that, wait a minute, PTSD isn't just for soldiers. You could be a firefighter, you could be a police officer, you could be just a normal person and have been
Yeah.
through childhood abuse or sexual abuse, and
Mhm.
you can develop. So that
Yes.
even that one thing took, a couple of before it was
Decades.
changed.
Mhm.
Um, so now that we've
Oh, it's incredible.
but
Yeah.
we're still incredible that we're still changing as
Mhm.
much as we are. Like right now, there's huge push on learning and understanding your neurological system. We're we're kind of away from this idea that trauma, that mental illness is just the result of suppressed memories or
Yes.
bad things that we remember. These are
Mhm.
things that change, literally physically change your system. So you grow into some of these symptoms and responses and negative effects
Yeah.
years and years later.
Mhm.
And we're really just now kind of getting a that. And
Yeah.
there's still so much to be done. Now, I would say we still have stigma against mental health treatment, and we still have a long ways to go. We're much better, but we still have a
Yeah.
long ways to go, especially in men's health. Men are still, oh, you're a wussy. Oh, you don't, and
Just be tough and deal with it.
exactly. And even socially, we kind of get this edged message of, oh, we want men to share more. We want men to be more, you know, compassionate. And when
Mhm.
we are, then we turn around and still get, slapped with that.
Criticized for it.
Yeah. And not just men, women do it too.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. I'm just
Oh
saying,
no.
we still have a good ways to go on,
Mhm.
you know, getting rid of stigma. So that's a big part. And if you've been through something, say your mental illness, say depression, anxiety, PTSD, and you've never been to therapy, you don't know what to expect. You don't know what
Right.
you're supposed to get out of it. And sometimes it can be a very long time. It can be a couple of years before you kind of figure out of it, of okay, is and what I should be expecting to get
Or
out
they
of it.
had a bad experience
Yep,
already because they tried,
yep, yep.
I how much my trauma was linked to my nervous system until
Hmm.
5 months ago.
Oh, wow, really?
Yes, I'm a late bloomer.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, by my own,
Uh-huh.
and I've gotten. Now I'm like, oh, it's not here. It's your entire body.
Yep.
And so now I'm like, if I even feel a little twitch or something, I
Uh-huh.
pay attention to what my body's trying to tell me. And
Mm-hmm.
I think if people, and this is just from my personal experience, I can't, but if could get in tune with that, I think it would
Yes.
help a lot because I think this is how people are getting sick.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how I never got an autoimmune disease or something,
Mm-hmm.
because it's so funny. They're like kind of trying to forefront of that because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as, but it's really what I'm thinking of. Just enlightening to hear you talk about this because
Yeah.
a lot of psychologists don't, unfortunately.
Yeah. And it's so kind of goes back to a little history. And so I'm definitely a psychology nerd when it comes to this stuff. I love it. So historically, we look, the bulk of psychology was, memories and
Mhm.
your
Yeah.
brain, which is obviously important. This is where it
Yeah.
all started and kind of got us
Yeah.
at today. But what has happened from that is, you know, one person, next person, and the next person, and the next person. So we're still kind of at a lot of the education for that is still heavily weighted in older belief
Mhm.
systems. It's
Mhm.
not that those teachings and belief systems are wrong.
Right.
It's just they were the beginnings of
Mhm.
discovery. And that's still there. Your subconscious, your
Yeah.
suppressed memory, all that's still there and is important. But like we're saying, what we're learning now about the nervous system and the body, the physical aspects of mental health are
Mhm.
so important. It's just going to take a little bit longer for some of that to catch up and
Mhm.
get mainstream. Um,
Mhm.
did you ever hear the ACEs, the ACE study?
No, ACE.
Uh-huh, yes. I'm going to send a homework assignment.
All right,
So,
I'm writing it down too.
yes, ACE, Adverse Childhood Experience. So, this was a study done in the late 1990s, so many moons ago for some of our audience, and for some of us, not too long ago.
Yeah.
But a couple of doctors in California ran an obesity clinic, a weight loss clinic, and started noticing that they had many patients, not just a couple, but many that would actually achieve their goals of weight loss, but then all of a sudden would relapse and
Mhm.
just start putting on the weight again, like a lot. So they started, wait, something's up here. This
Uh-huh.
isn't just one or two people. This is a bunch. Matter of fact, it turned out to be like 60%. So they did us and started looking at their childhood. And guess what? 55% the ones that reached their goal but then relapsed were the victims of child sexual assault.
Mm.
So then they did a statewide study in California, over 17,000 people, and asked a questionnaire, 10 questions about childhood trauma, and absolutely 100,000% showed a direct tie from childhood trauma to adult disease. Anyone that had a score of, so they had experienced four of these 10 things,
Mhm.
um, they're they were 8 times at risk for diabetes, obesity, cancer, cardiovascular disease, joint inflammation, uh, you name it. And by the time you got up to 6 or higher on this scale, it caused an average of 20 years lower life expectancy.
Wow. And
So,
I'm just learning about 5 months ago.
yep,
Great.
yeah. So
Um,
we're in this right now of
yeah.
just saying, wow, the nervous system and the body, the physical body, has to do with
Mhm.
our mental health, and they're exactly reciprocal. It's not
Yes,
just it's not just if you have anxiety, you might have a upset stomach. It's reciprocal.
it's
They
linked.
feed each other.
Yeah.
Disrupt your immune and disrupt your digestive system. If your digestive system is disrupted, it's not producing dopamine, it's not
Mhm.
providing the micronutrients that you need,
Mhm.
and those feed the brain. So now the brain's
Mhm.
going to be even more dysfunction. Yeah, there's so much that we have to learn.
And your gut health,
Yep.
that
Mhm.
the gut is linked to all of this.
Yep. Absolutely.
Like
100%.
one of the things I wanted to ask you about is how do you help loved ones that have mental illness?
Help the person's loved ones,
Yeah,
or
like if you have to the like the loved ones,
yes,
people with mental illness, how
yes.
do you like what would you say to somebody? Because I feel like we all know people that
Hmm.
have mental illness because so many people have been through trauma,
Yep.
whether it's been no matter what degree it is.
Uh-huh.
So I guess what would be the best? How do you handle a situation like
So I actually, the the four books that I am published on mental health, each has a different mental health issue.
that? Okay.
One of the I wrote them a certain way was so that family members or loved ones of a person with mental illness could pick it up and read it and get an understanding of what that person's going through.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have two peer. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're the family member, the parent, the spouse of someone that has mental illness, first is just understanding, learning. Get a book, find something, and read about it. That
Mm-hmm.
will help you know what they're going through, just a choice. They're
Mm-hmm.
not just choosing to not
Yeah.
speak to you that day, or they're
Yeah.
not just choosing to cancel plans at the last minute. Um, these kind of things that are the result of issues. And the second part of that is, I would say, knowing how to support them. And that really comes down to, first of all, learning to be a good listener.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody can go on, YouTube or whatever and up listening skills. If you want to, you can learn this. These are
Yeah.
skills that you can listen. And one of the first things that you're going to learn is don't give platitudes. When someone says, yeah, I'm feeling really down today, I'm feeling really depressed, or, oh, it's going to be okay. Yeah, tomorrow's a sunny day and tomorrow's a
Mm-hmm.
better day. Those are platitudes. They do more to push the person away than they do to help them. So
Interesting.
you learn in listening skills to ask a question and shut up and
Yeah.
listen. Say, well, can you tell me what you're thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what you're feeling?
Mm-hmm.
And let them talk. Ask questions. Don't, you're not there to fix. For one, healing takes a long, long time,
Yeah.
but part of good healing, good support. And if the
Right.
person feels that you are safe for them to come and talk to, that will be the support that they need for healing and growth. Hmm.
Gotta be easier to do with adults than children,
Yes.
because children going through trauma, they're just frustrated all the time.
Hmm.
It seems like. How would you handle? You want to feel like you're a safe person for them to talk to, but
Hmm.
how do you make a child feel safe like that, where an adult can comprehend it?
Hmm.
8-year-old Jamie probably like wouldn't have understood that because you just didn't have the emotional and mental capacity at that age to do that. So what
Right.
would you recommend for anybody that may have children in their life that, has been through, like this?
Yeah, absolutely. First is them professional help. That's what they're there for. They
Hmm.
learn, study, practice, and experience these things.
Hmm.
So they know how to listen and talk to kids in a way that's supportive and is going to lead them forward. So,
Hmm.
absolutely, right off the bat, do it. Get them professional help. In everyday life, let them know. Say, hey, anytime you're feeling bad, excuse me, I'm here. If you want to tell me, I will just listen. I'm not going to tell you what to think or what not to think. I'm just going to listen.
Just keep saying it because you
Keep
were
reminding them. Yeah,
at 8, so.
remind them. And if you know what they've been through,
Hmm.
ask them every once in a while. Don't wait. Let them know that you're here, but don't wait for that. Because the thing that happens especially with depression, you feel like you're a burden to other people. Like
Hmm.
you wish that you had their care and support, but you don't want to, you feel like you're up to them to come out and tell them about what's going on.
Yeah.
So, as the adult or the parent, you need to occasionally just ask them, "Hey, you know, how you feeling about them?
Mm.
Have you been, everything been okay?
Is it okay to ask, do you still,
Absolutely. Do you think about that? Find a way, find some questions to ask,
Mhm.
and do it regularly. The keys to building resilience is to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't, if you keep it quiet and, you know, off the table, then teaches people that it's not okay to talk about it. So
Yeah.
talk about it regularly and and be aware, learn.
Right.
You know your child's behaviors. They don't do. So if you notice something different, and it's been more than a few days, if they're
Mm-hmm.
just having a days, then okay. But if it's going on a week and all of a sudden they're not doing the activities that they usually enjoy, well, there's something up. There's something going on. So
Yeah.
that's when you ask, hey, I noticed you haven't drawn in your sketchbook for like a week now. I haven't seen. Um, is everything okay? Is anything you ask and listen? Take a step. Do not try to fix. Do not what to do. Do not try to tell them, well, those platitudes I mentioned. We're gonna be okay. You just need to
Yeah.
think good thoughts. Don't, don't, don't.
Yeah. Because it's frustrating because kids
Yes.
are smart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Even adults get more a little bit not stupid.
No, no.
they um for you back because unfortunate it took you moving back in with your grandparents, which was what, 12 years later.
Yeah.
So you basically out on years
Oh, yeah.
because you were just floating through numb,
Hmm.
so there's an opportunity now. Anybody is dealing with this with their children or children they know, there's an
Hmm.
opportunity to kind of start with that. That probably would have you immensely if you had just been able to live with your grandparents who
Oh, yeah.
felt safe with.
Hmm.
Do you How do you feel your thought on which this is a big buzz now? Everyone's talking about the generational trauma that's
Uh-huh.
going, we all break the.
Yes. Yep.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Generational trauma, there is a social aspect that is well, I'll just say this. It's like some other terms that are sometimes. So
Hmm.
we'll hear on social media talk of generational trauma and it's
Hmm.
being misapplied in some
Okay.
aspects. So there is a real aspect to that. And here's had depression.
Hmm.
So I started going to treatment. It didn't just go away magically, within the first
Yeah.
couple of. This was something that took decades to get to where I am now.
Hmm.
And even now, I mean, there are still some I deal with. It's
Hmm.
just in severity, it's a lot less. In the way it affects my life, it's a lot less.
Hmm.
But, there's still a little percentage there. My two kids were young. There were times where I was still not healed enough. And
Hmm.
there would be times where I would have a depressive episode that would last me 3 days, that would last me a week,
Okay.
that would maybe be low depression for 2 or 3 months.
Hmm.
And so during those times, I was not as close to them as
Hmm.
I normally would have been.
Hmm.
I was distant emotionally.
Okay.
And so this is one of the ways that generational trauma affects children, affects the next generation, is because if you experience trauma and it's going to have an impact on, like you said earlier, relationships, especially. So,
Hmm.
not just romantic, but with
Yeah.
children, with friends,
Yeah.
there's going to be a negative impact there going to affect them. So, the children are going to
Hmm.
get something from that. And that's one way that generational trauma can, can be passed down. And go to other as well. Let's say it's a PTSD and you're, you know, not in treatment, healed at a
Hmm.
certain level. And you might have, hypersensitivity, hypervigilance. So if you're always everywhere you go with you're looking around the paranoid about certain things and people and things like that, they're going to learn that
Hmm.
behaviorally, you know, and so they're going to do aspects of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then if you situation where there's some type of or abuse that is ongoing, then of course that's going to be passed along.
Right.
I mentioned the ACE. What they looked at was 10 traumatic experiences that people could have during childhood.
Mm-hmm.
One of those on that list was domestic violence. So if you're a child, even if your mother is the one being abused and hit
Mm-hmm.
and cussed and pushed, even if you're not being physically abused,
Mm-hmm.
just witnessing and living in a household environment like that, that is a trauma.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So has effect. That's I kind of earlier avoid attachment. That's
Mm-hmm.
something that's developed by you're treated very early in childhood that affects who you choose as a partner later in life and how you respond to romantic relationships later in
Mm-hmm.
life.
Right.
So all of that can be if you're not if you're healing and actively trying to build resilience, you know,
Mm-hmm.
put into place your children, then yeah, those things they're going to get.
The first step to that, because I think we all have generational trauma, you know.
Mhm,
I mean, my grandfather had horrible, he used to scream, he would scream in his sleep from,
mhm,
you know, what he saw in the and when he was in the service, and it was
mhm,
awful. Like you couldn't
mhm,
even be around him. And you know, this gets down is the first step, just knowledge, just knowing what it is, because it's got to be, people probably don't even realize, like you don't know what you don't know.
right. Yeah, I would say that that's kind of a tie. I would say you could begin with knowledge, like
Hmm.
learning about it, and
Hmm.
then what you need to do about it.
Hmm.
Or you could begin with doing something about it and you don't even know what it is until later. So
Yeah,
let's say
which
that,
is, yeah.
you do have a illness or that you do have something in your life that you recognize isn't right, that just doesn't work. Let's say we'll just go with the relationship aspect. You've been in maybe two or three or four or five relationships that weren't just dating, but that you would consider, you know, serious.
Yeah.
Consider that, people that real feelings for and that you
Hmm.
spent real time with that wasn't in the dating phase. But
Hmm.
you've had three, four, five. Okay, there's a problem there. You might not know who recognize, wait a minute, this isn't working out. There's going on
Trauma
here.
affects who we choose to have in our
Uh-huh.
lives. It's
And
like 100% linked.
yeah, and you can't continuously say it's always the other people.
Yeah.
If it's more than it's probably you. Now, they
Yeah.
may not be, you know, God's gift on earth. If you're going through multiple relationships, there's something inside that's not working because
Mm-hmm.
you don't have healthy boundaries from the beginning,
Yeah.
and or you're not having healthy in the relationship. So
Right.
even if you don't know why, you recognize, yeah, this isn't okay. Go
Something's not right.
Like go to a therapist. Hey, this is going on. I don't know why. It feels like I'm just picking these bad people, so it's all them, but I keep picking them. So it's not
Yeah.
all them. There's something here. What is it?
Hmm.
So it
And
could.
that's so hard to realize,
Mm,
and really take a big look into that, and a deep, you know, to look within. It's so hard, but it's brave to
yes,
be able to do that. You
yes.
know,
Healing is not for the faint of heart.
no, no.
Healing, and this kind of back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of like stigma and people maybe not get help that they need.
Hmm.
Um, we may think of healing linear as like, okay, well, if I start in a year, I should be good.
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen. Not
We're always healing.
exactly. We're always healing. And I always tell people that if you can pull up a picture of a stock market, this is what healing looks like. So a stock that hopefully is doing good is still going to be up, down, up, down, up, down. Have
Yeah.
times when things just, it feels like, oh, it's all's lost. None of this is, and it'll go back up. And then, but that's what healing really looks like.
I want to be respectful to your time because we're pretty much at our time, but really quick, can you tell the listeners, about your books?
Sure. So if you go to website is managingmentalhealth.net, and there you can see the 4 books that I wrote, plus I just released a journal that is specifically designed for self-discovery, and a little deeper dive. Also, it's designed to build positive thinking.
Okay, that's
But
great.
yeah, so the books each address a different mental health issue, which is adult ADHD,
Okay.
PTSD, anxiety, and clinical depression. And they are all designed to help you understand it a little bit better, but then immediately go into practical strategies that you can do to
Thank you.
help today
Yes.
and build long-term healing and
Yes.
growth.
I love that you have
Everything.
a journal because
Mhm.
to start, because so many people just don't know where to start.
Yes.
So the fact that you have these in place where you can start immediately,
Hmm.
where it's not like it's going to take to read this book and then I've got another one to read and then I've got, that's
Uh-huh.
amazing.
Uh-huh.
Um, any final words, any that you have before we, say goodbye?
Yeah, I would to anyone that one of the most important things that you can do for your health, for your happiness, for yourself, for your family, is become a student of yourself. Pretend that you are investigating, observing, and studying something or someone that you're going to get a degree in. So you're going to just dive in and do your homework, do your research, but do it about yourself. And
That's
the
incredible.
more that more the light bulbs will go off, and you'll
Mhm.
be like, oh wow, yeah, okay. Oh yeah, well, if I've been with anxiety, this is probably what's led up to it. This is when it happens. This is what triggers it.
Mhm.
This is what makes me feel better. This is
Mhm.
what methods work for me and what don't. And the more you study yourself, your growth will just, you know, bloom.
Yeah. Okay, I said one thing, but now I have another one. Really
Go
quick.
right ahead. Go right ahead.
For that, become a student of yourself. So many people are probably going to be like, "Oh, that's really it's going to resonate," but people are scared. Like healing is scary.
Hmm.
Oh, and scary, like you can't
Hmm.
cast it until you go
Hmm.
through it.
Right.
So what do you say to those people that are, teetering a little bit, but just they're scared?
Yeah. First of all, what you're feeling and thinking is 100% normal. Every person, this goes back to the nervous system, and this will
Mhm.
show you that a lot of this is your nervous system, not just your thoughts and memories.
Mhm.
Your nervous system is designed to keep you safe. When
Mhm.
you see a bear or a snake or something out in the wild, your body and your nervous system is designed to say run or hide or
Mhm.
whatever. So when you think about facing the darkness,
Mhm.
when you think about, oh gosh, I'm going to have to go back and look at this or think about it or talk about it, and that's very scary. That
Mhm.
is absolutely normal. That's what your nervous system is designed to do. It's trying to keep you safe. But the only way to get past that to the other side is to go over that and go through it.
Yeah.
There, one quick little is that or what we call the buffalo, they have a very unique, and as far as I know, they're the only animals to do this, but they have a very unique approach to trouble. Every other animal, when they sense that a storm is coming, they will find a place to hide. They'll find a den, a nest, a tree, a cave, something. They will cover themselves. The
Mm-hmm.
bison runs into the storm.
Mm-hmm.
They get together as a pack and run directly into it because they know that the quicker they go into it, the quicker they're going to get out of it. So
Mm-hmm.
they're designed to go through and be intentional about it. And that's kind of, you have to adopt that to
Mm-hmm.
know that, okay, yep, this is going to suck, going to be scary, but I am not alone. Every person that has gone through severe trauma and has made it to the other side has gone through this exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They have faced it and made it through it to the other side. I don't I don't like it. I want to do it.
So, in a world of scariness and trauma, be a bison.
Yep,
That's
absolutely.
that's amazing. I love that. Really, can you only practice?
No, so as a trauma recovery coach, I do virtual appointments all over
Okay.
all over the world.
Okay, perfect. So
I've
we'll
worked.
let know how to get in touch with you because I
Yep.
think they're going to want to. So just and also your books, I think would be a great starting point for somebody just to kind of
Hmm.
tip their toes and
Yep.
with that and in the journal you have that you said you called it a journal, right?
Yes.
To
Uh-huh.
help guide them
Hmm.
through. Okay, that's all. Well, it's amazing to meet you.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
but
Yep.
thank you
Anytime.
so much. Yeah, thank you so much for your and everything.
Okay.
Um, but I just want to you're a trauma rock star. You're
Thank
not
you.
only helping people, but you're a trauma rock star yourself. So thank you for your being vulnerable and sharing your story with everybody.
Mhm.
And it's appreciated and the universe is repay you tenfold.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Have a good one.
All right. You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye bye.
Content on this podcast revolves around personal life experiences and is meant to serve as a learning tool. I am not a certified therapist or medical expert. This podcast does not offer medical or psychological or professional advice. If you're curious about your mental and physical well being, feel free to reach out to a licensed healthcare professional for assistance.